Hello everyone and welcome to Action RPG Build Guide Edition. Today I'm ready to drop on you my new double swing stun Barbarian. This build absolutely crushes and of course it is a blast to play. As always, I will cover every single facet of this build. Everything is timestamped in the description below if you need to bounce around. Let's not waste any time and jump right into this. Starting off with some gameplay. Now the skills I'm using for this double swing Barbarian, you guessed it, we are of course using double swing. Lunge as our generator, we're using steel grass to pull enemies in. Charge when you need to get out of harm's way or just push people around. And then for our ultimate, we're using Iron Maelstrom. And since we have weapon swap on, we're going to be using lots of different weapons with ground stomp to also reset and stun enemies. It functions very, very well. Now, at time of recording, currently level 100 with this Barbarian. And as you can see, this is a Nightmare Dungeon 80, which means these enemies are level 134. They are 34 levels higher than us. For the most part, we are cutting through everything. Double swing is an amazing skill, and it basically gives us unlimited berserker, which is awesome. You get to stay in berserker all the time. Show off a little more gameplay. All these, how many freaking quill rats there are. I wish I saved my iron maelstrom. It would take them all out. All right, pull them in. 6 seconds. 3, 2, light them up. Good night. Oh, this build's so much fun to play. Okay, I think you get it. Let's go fight a boss. Tomb Lord, level 106. Got a good feeling we're gonna be able to win this fight. Gonna have to wait and see. We should literally disintegrate him starting now. And there his life goes. Good night. Let me show you how to recreate this build. Let's start by looking at the skill tree. Now, we do use a generator for this build. 1 point into lunging strike, and you want 1 onto combat lunging strike. This is going to give you berserking when you crit. As you move down to core skills, of course, you have 5 points into double swing, and you want 1 point into furious double swing. Casting double swing while berserking grants you 2 additional seconds of berserking. So if lunge does grant you that crit and give you 1.5 seconds of berserking, you're going to be able to maintain that through your double swing. Okay, it'll keep it going for you. As we move down, this is a stun build, so you want to make sure you take ground stomp, and we're going to be resetting our ultimate Iron Maelstrom through strategic ground stomp. As we continue to move down, yes, it's unbelievable. It's not a triple shout build. We have 5 points into charge, and we have 1 into power charge. It's going to help us reset it. We have 3 points into aggressive resistance, 3 points into fury. This is going to help us with our generation during berserking and damage reduction. As we move down, we have 3 points into pit fighter, 3 into mercy, give us more damage and crit chance. I really like steel grasp. It's been going in all of the builds. It's just not only a blast to play, but just gives you so much utility. And it is going to help us with vulnerability. So Steel Grasp is going to make enemies vulnerable and work great with Exploit as well. And we have 1 into Warrior Steel Grasp for that extra charge. 1 point into Thick Skin, 3 points into Defensive Stance, 3 points into Counter Offensive. Keep us alive. We have 3 points into Duelist, 1 point into Iron Maelstrom, and then we're taking the other 2 for Iron Maelstrom. 1 point into Wallop, 3 points into Concussion, and down here for our Keystone passive, we are taking Walking Arsenal. Now let's talk technique. For this build, this is the first time I'm saying this, you want to take one-handed mace. Correct, one-handed mace. 10% increased damage to stunned enemies, double this amount when using 2 maces. Vulnerability damage is going to give you 15%, but 2 maces is going to give you 20%. So in this case, one-handed mace is actually better. Now let's check out the Paragon boards. Now, before we go through these 7 newly min-max boards, quick plug about Icy Veins. Second link in the description will have the 4,000-word written guide for this build. If there's a chance you didn't get your question answered, that goes into a lot more depth, and the written guide will always be updated season to season, where obviously this video will not be. So don't forget, second link, check out the written guide. Okay, for our starting board, we are going to be using Blood Feeder. What I'm going to do is go to each board, give you a second to screenshot it, and then move on to the other one because it's crazy trying to explain it. So Blood Feeder is first. Got it. Moving on to our second board. Decimator. And the glyph we are using is Ambidextrous. All right. Moving to the right, board number 3, we are using Carnage. And the glyph we are using is Might. Board number 4, Flawless Technique. And the glyph we are using is Ire. Moving to the right, Weapons Master. And the glyph we are using is Territorial. 2 more to go. On our way to the left now. Board number 6 is Bone Breaker. And we are using Exploit. Last but not least, board number 7. We're using Warbringer. And the glyph we are using is Wrath. That is the Paragon boards. Moving over to everyone's favorite gear, starting with gems and hearts. Now for our weapon, we want to use an emerald. It's going to be critical strike damage to vulnerable enemies. It's literally in 99.9% of builds in the weapon slot. For armor, for this build, we're using a sapphire instead of a ruby for the extra damage reduction. And for our hearts, we're using Revenge, Punishing Speed, and the Dark Dance. Now the Dark Dance does take time to get used to. You will notice that my life was pinballing a lot during that gameplay showcase, and that is because of this heart, the Dark Dance. But it gives you such a higher damage output because you have so much primary resource. Now, I am not using the Barber. All of my builds, everyone's like, why are you not using the Barber? Why? It's the best. This build is not using any uniques and not using the Barber and pushing 80+ nightmare dungeons. I don't want to build my build around the Barber knowing that season 2, it will then not be good. So I'm trying to put out builds that will hopefully last the test of time and only get better with age instead of getting worse. That does not mean that you can't use the Barber. If you want to use it for season 1, feel free and go ahead and do that. Okay, looking at our aspects, like I just said, there's no uniques for this build. All you got to do is hunt the right aspects, and we will go through them right now. For helmet, you want Weapon Master. Chest armor, Numbing Wrath. Gloves, Anemia. Pants, Aspect of Might. Boots, Exploiter's Aspect. We'll go to Amulet before we go to weapons. Earthquake for our Amulet. Berserk Fury for Ring 1. Limitless Rage for Ring 2. And then for our weapons under Bludgeon, you want Aspect of Retribution. Dual Wield 1, Edge Masters. Dual Wield 2, Berserk Ripping. And two-handed slashing, Aspect of Acceleration. Those are the aspects, gems, and hearts. Last but not least, let's talk priority stats. And again, friendly reminder, don't forget, second link in description will be the 4,000-word written guide. The priority stats will be in order, ranked, and it'll have more than 4, so you'll get a better explanation there, but we'll go through them for this video. Gear stats, helmet, cooldown reduction, ranks to steel grasp, crowd control duration, and strength. Now, you are not going to see crowd control duration very often, but to keep our stuns up longer, you do want to have this on your helm. For chest, we're taking triple damage reduction with max life. For gloves, crit chance attack speed, ranks of double swing and strength. For pants, quad damage reduction. Boots, movement speed, damage reduction, reduce fury, cost, and strength. Amulet, cooldown reduction, ranks to counteroffensive, crowd control duration, and damage reduction while injured. For our rings, that are the exact same: vulnerability damage, crit strike, chance, crit damage, resource generation. And then for our weapons, they are all the same: vulnerability damage, crit strike damage, strength, and damage to close enemies. That is the priority stats. All right, everyone, that's the build guide. What do you think of my new double swing Barbarian? Is there anything I missed? Is there anything I can do to push this to the next level? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. 2 asks at the end of the video. Ask number 1, I'm hoping today is the day I have earned your subscription. Hoping today is the day you make the decision to push that little red button. I would really appreciate it, but of course, only if you think I deserve it. And if I haven't earned it, I'm gonna work harder for you. Ask number 2, check out my Patreon. Thank you to the first 80 members that have signed up. Become an instant ARPG VIP. and get Patreon exclusive content at the first link in the description. I get asked all the time, Aaron, what is the best way to support? And Patreon is it, and you get the most benefits. That's all I've got. Double Swing is in the books. Hopefully you were entertained or at least learned something. Aaron, out.